630 CHED presents The Announcers. Opinion, personality, passion. The Announcers on 630 CHED, Edmonton's breaking news and conversation station.
You're listening to The Announcers. Hello, my name is Ryan Jespersen, and weekday mornings from 9 to noon, I host a program here on 630 CHED titled The Ryan Jespersen Show. And I'm joined by two of my best friends here at work, J'Lyn Nye and Andrew Grose. Good to see you both.
Howdy.
From the 630 CHED Afternoon News with J'Lyn Nye and Andrew Grose.
That was actually a social experiment. I was going to see if I could get away with not promoting your show.
And it runs from 2 to 6.
That's right.
Monday through Friday.
Unless you're interrupted by games, because we are, of course, the broadcast home of the Edmonton Oilers, who will, on Wednesday, play their last game at Rexall Place.
Yeah, end of an era.
I guess so. And so today, do we want to talk about some of our favorite experiences from that great arena?
Hey, that sounds like a good idea.
All right, let's do it. Because I'll tell you right now, I have been a constant irritant to Rexall Place and an embarrassment to my family over the years. I don't even know how many years ago it's been since I first walked through the hallowed halls. Is that the word? Hallowed halls of Rexall Place. But I do remember the occasion of the first time. I was living in Calgary, so it has to be more than 20 years ago or 25 years ago. I was dating a woman who I later made my wife, and she was an Oilers fan, and I was a Calgary Flames fan. So I went and got tickets behind the Calgary Flames bench, and I had not been to many NHL games, and this was an incredible thrill for us both. But we're that couple that they show on TV, you know, the Flames jersey and the Oilers jersey. And I had bought a great big bag of M&Ms. I mean, just massive.
Yeah. Like a diabetes size bag. Yeah.
And I pulled it out, and there was a stoppage in play at the time. And I pulled it out, and I tried to open it, and it wouldn't open. And it's one of those packages, you know, where you're trying to pull it apart to open the top of it. And
you know what's coming.
Right. I'm struggling with it. Carol's like, let me do it. And this is long before she was my wife, so it was like, you know, let me do it. I'm like, I got it. And boom, I shot that entire bag, the contents of that entire bag, over the Flames bench.
On.
Yeah, onto the ice surface, just as play was going back in again. And it's a televised game. I mean, I'm just boom, and all I remember is looking up and seeing, like, it was in slow motion, all these M&Ms flying up in the air, and that panel of TV cameras that's just above the bowl there, all sort of turned. Like, I don't even know where we were broadcasting to. Across Canada, maybe North America, possibly Italy. I don't know. All these cameras.
Probably the world, Andrew.
Right, just
if
down.
Not beyond.
Yeah. And the only thing I regret about that, honestly, it was a stoppage in play.
Well,
Yeah, I did look down. All of the Flames players turned, looked at me, and I saw at least 3 or 4 eye rolls because I'm wearing a Flames jersey in Edmonton, right? They just turned it, it's one of ours, and back again. My only regret is that I didn't get to hear the sports commentators on television and radio probably describe that incident in a close-up picture of me. I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
They're like, what we clearly have here, what we got here is a failure to. We probably someone quite likely at their first professional hockey game.
Exactly, and that's exactly right. You know what? And I could have you guys could have not shown up for this, and I could tell you story after story of me embarrassing myself at Rexall Place. I don't know why.
Bags are tricky. It's okay.
Everything's tricky about that.
I don't want to get too sidetracked here because we can return to talking about Rexall Place, but I'm just curious. You alluded to something. You said, now, Carol at this point was not yet my wife, so she was like, let me help you with that.
No, it's sort of the other way around.
I was just curious to know if
Carol would grab that bag out of my hands without saying any words. Now she could just give me that, right? But back then when you're dating and trying to impress one another,
right.
it just seemed wrong for her to be so forceful. But she was right and continues to be right.
Did you impress her?
You know, she actually tried to slide away, which is not easy because those chairs are fixed. But she did sort of do the slow slide to one side, like, I think this guy might be here by himself.
She could have been just fine. It had the people next to her, but also wearing Oilers sweaters. She just turns their way. And then
I suppose.
This group, and then this one, buffoon from Calgary.
Right.
Who's
it did get a round of applause, by the way.
Yeah. Do you have J'Lyn, like a single favorite memory at Rexall Place, or is your experience there one where you go, oh, I could talk about concerts, rodeos?
A little, yeah, little snippets of a few different things. I've never been to a lot of hockey games at Rexall Place just because I was usually working. When I first got here, I worked nights. I was on the air till midnight every night, so I never got the
You were a bit
opportunity.
of a big shot.
Yeah, well, I had to keep up with you in the mornings. But I never really got a chance to go to many Oilers games. In fact, I've only been to 2, but there were one time I was actually out. Yeah, no, I know.
2 in your life?
Yeah, I haven't been to
Wow.
Oilers games. But one time I was sent to cover. It was like during the craziness, one of the runs, whether it was 2005 or 2006.
06, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was sent down to do the coverage before. And so you're standing outside of Rexall doing your what we call stand-up. So you're doing your live broadcast. Hey, it's J'Lyn outside of Rexall Place. This place is going crazy. Oh, my goodness. And these guys kept going by. Do you remember those? I call them clackers, but I don't think they were clackers, but they were blown up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The clapper
They
sticks.
still have
you know?
those from
but
time
they
to
were
time.
like plastic, like
Yeah,
those
yeah.
balloon
right.
things,
So,
right?
yeah, sure.
And they would come up right behind me, like, tuck, 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 and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's kind of funny, that's funny. And kind of kept on going until they started beating me over the head with them during my stand-up.
Oh my
They were
God, I
hitting me
think
on
that
the
might have been
head.
me.
Yeah, it may have been you, Andrew. And they started pelting you with M&Ms? Did that
No,
happen?
I didn't get the M&Ms. But I remember that. I'm thinking I had never been in a situation like that. I had never been in a sporting event or at an event where I had felt that energy and felt that passion and how easy it became to get swept up in it. And while I had to go back to the TV station to cover it on that end, still at the TV station watching it and being a part of it that way and being able to put the newscast together afterwards. I mean, those were really special times. Like that just grabbed hold of you and just made you proud. It was amazing to see the city come together like that. I had not witnessed it before.
Yeah.
Now, was Rollison the goalie back then?
Well, yeah, up until the final when Markkanen took over when Rollison got hurt. Remember
Right.
when
So that
was
would
it
have been
Marc-Andre
around about-
Bergeron slid into him? I
Yes,
think,
yes. And my heart dropped into my, yes.
Yeah, that was kind of when you. I mean, hey, Markkanen played all right,
But
as
didn't
we
we
know.
have those 2 years we went to the semifinals or finals? Like, wasn't 2005?
Well, Calgary went in
2006?
04, and then there was the lockout in 05,
Right.
and
That's
then
right.
the Oil went in 06.
06.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there was that part, and then on White Avenue the night of the riots, that was crazy.
Were they
following
really
all of it.
riots?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Are we?
I'm calling it a riot
I don't know
because
if it's
I
a
walked
riot.
out and the riot team was there, and people are throwing beer bottles at me, and I thought,
Okay.
okay, it's
Yeah,
time to
that-
go.
Well-
and people were setting fires. in
It
the
was a
middle of the
Canadian
road.
riot. Like
It was
they'd-
a Canadian
Yeah, they'd
riot.
toss a bottle and then go, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's a can.
that
They're
didn't hit
tossing,
ya.
they're tossing empty cans.
Yeah,
We don't want to
exactly.
hurt anybody.
But outside of that, just a couple of those memories, outside of that, and again, most of mine was from being back at Global, watching it on TV and saying, how am I going to put this newscast together, was the Paul Lorio moment that night
Yeah.
when
Yeah, he held up the
handed
microphone.
mic over and
During the national anthem.
everyone was talking. Like, I still get the goosies talking about
Wait a
it.
second. You only went to 2 games in your life, and that was one of them?
No, I was back at the TV
Oh,
station
okay.
watching
I
that
see,
too, right?
J'Lyn, can we spend the next 20 minutes talking about how on earth you've only been to 2 Edmonton
Yeah,
Oilers
what-
hockey games? We need to get you there on Wednesday. It's going to be incredible. Vancouver Canucks, the final game.
Yeah, it was never.
Yeah.
I couldn't because of my work schedule, right? It just never worked out that way.
Do you know I should try and get to that game? Because now that I think about it, that was Hunter's first ever hockey game was at Rexall Place. It would be nice if I saw
Yeah.
their last game there with Hunter. I might even...
I think a lot of families are going to be making it a special night. By the way, why don't we take this opportunity to remind people that the puck drop has changed for that game on Wednesday. I'm picturing the farmer that has had seasons tickets for 30 years, and he gets them in the mail, and he marks it on his calendar by pen, and he
Yeah,
writes
yeah.
8 p.m., and he's going to drive in from somewhere remote in the province, and he's going to arrive there, and he's going to realize he's
Yeah.
missed the whole game, and he's going to be upset.
He's going to see Hunter and me in his seats.
He's going to see Hunter and you moving down from the 300s to go sit in his golds.
The reason I ask about-
the game, by the way, puck drop
Sure.
5 p.m. Be
Yeah.
in your seats by 5 p.m.
The reason I asked about Rollison, and as I say, I've been a constant embarrassment to this organization and to this venue. When Hunter went to his first ever game, we had been given tickets from a friend who had club access. And I said, oh, Hunter, I'll take you downstairs. You can actually see the dressing room and be there when the players come in and go out. And he was thrilled. He was just a little boy. And we went down, and you know how security comes along and sort of gets everybody out of the way, and then that's how you know the Oilers are coming. But Hunter had a problem with his jacket. So I'm knelt down with this little boy, and I'm helping him with his jacket, and security just somehow missed us. So everybody's now cleared, and the doors are opening, and security sees us there, and they were so nice. The guy comes over, and he goes, "You're not supposed to be here, but at this point, don't do anything stupid. And your son's going to get a great view of the Oilers." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." So I pull out my camera because I want to get that picture of the doors opening and Hunter, with the players coming out in the background. But I forgot I had this incredibly bright flash on my camera back then. I don't know, on my phone. So the doors open, and who leads them out? Of course, Rolison. And I've got Hunter, and I've got him in the background. And I hit the shutter. And it was like an explosion. Like the light was just unbelievable. And he put his hand up like somebody just put. Yeah. He gave up 4 goals in the third period.
It was your fault.
I'm positive he just kept seeing little black objects.
He's fighting all these pucks that don't exist. He can't tell which of the ones actually being fired at him.
It's surprising that I'm not actually red flagged out at that place.
You should be not allowed in that place again.
Can I tell you one of my most favorite memories at Rexall Place has nothing to do with the hockey game. It has nothing to do with the concert, though we can certainly reminisce about some great shows we've seen there, some great Canadian Finals rodeo events, monster truck events we've had so much fun at. It was my first time. I was working for City News at the time. I don't mean to brag, but I was their bureau chief in Red Deer.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's kind of a big deal. Mm-hmm. The cream of the crop of Central Alberta's television news bureau offices. And I was summoned up.
It was a 3-drawer bureau.
I was summoned up by our assignment desk here in Edmonton. I was called up to the big leagues to go report on the Edmonton Oilers. And, of course, I was working as a video journalist, as a VJ, which, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, this is essentially where the news business is going. Everybody carries their own tripods, their own cameras. They shoot their own stuff. They come back, they cut and write their own stuff. It's incredible work. For some people, it can even be 3-4 hours a day. I mean, it's just an incredible workload for these reports. I'm kidding. But I'm carrying all this stuff in, and I've got my hands full, to say the least. And sports reporters, sports commentators, they're their own entity. It's I don't want to say they're cliquey, because not all of them are. Some of them are fabulous, but some of them would not hesitate to remind you that they've earned their stripes, they've paid their dues, and you have not yet. So you're not automatically welcomed into the fraternity. Know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So there's this
huge
huge gaggle. There's this huge gathering around. At the time, it was Joe Thornton in the visitors' room, and I'm trying to get in there. But first of all, nobody knows who I am. I don't know who. Well, actually, I knew who pretty much all the people were in the scrum, because you watch the news, you follow it. And I'm trying to get my microphone in with my left hand, and I'm trying to balance this 35-pound camera on my right, and I'm trying to find a slot that I can shoot through to get a clear shot of Thornton. But all the guys are crowding in, and it's a melee. And all of a sudden, I feel this hand tap mine and take my microphone. This hand takes my microphone out of my hand and holds it along with his. And I look, and there's the legendary Gene Principe.
No way.
Correspondent from Sportsnet. He looks at me, he winks, and he held my microphone the entire time. Held my microphone for about 10 minutes. Never met him before. Seen him on television, and now I have a fabulous friendship with Gene. And that is something that I'll never forget, and I love telling that story, showing true class.
Absolutely.
But for me, it was a career moment, an understanding of how classy some people really can be, how they can set pretense aside and any sort of pettiness and help somebody out. But when I think of Rexall Place stories or a meaningful story to me, that's right at the top of the list.
That's awesome.
That's a great story.
I love Gene.
Yeah.
And he has great hair.
He does have amazing hair.
He has great hair. But
Best concert ever at Rexall Place?
Oh, you know what? One of my first concerts at Rexall Place, 8th row for Neil Diamond, which was absolutely fantastic, because you guys know I'm a huge Neil Diamond fan. But I have to tell you that the Prince concert, the last time he was through, the Prince concert, and everyone kept saying afterwards, or the talk was in all the other cities, don't leave when the concert's done. Don't leave. He comes out. The lights will be on. He comes out. People are leaving. I kept saying to my husband, Coach, we're not leaving. And out walks Prince. One more time. The lights are up, and he's still playing. And I just thought to myself, this is amazing. I mean, this is a guy. Andrew, we've talked about that. You think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
You don't
I don't
get it, but
really understand the
had,
Prince thing,
I
but
had
sure.
I had a huge crush on Prince when I was a kid. I had posters all over my room. I mean, I've been to the bar that was in Purple Rain, down in Minneapolis, but to see him and come out and play at that level when half the arena was empty was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
cool.
Zach Brown Band was pretty
Zach
awesome
Brown
there,
Band
too.
was unbelievable there.
Yeah.
These are all more recent ones that
Yeah.
I'm thinking of.
You
I
know
remember
what's-
Mumford & Sons, Beyonce,
Yeah.
Lady Gaga,
Yeah.
Black Sabbath
I've
was
heard a
awesome.
lot of people talking
Roger
about the
Waters.
concerts they've been to at Rexall. And it's just funny how maybe we all see Rexall a little differently. I've never been to a concert at Rexall ever. So I guess like you
You
saying,
did
you've
Monster
only.
Trucking, though, didn't you?
I did do Monster Trucks. The first time my kids went to a circus, it was at Rexall Place. The first suite that I ever sat in at a major arena was Rexall Place. And actually, that's funny too. Jordan Eberle was injured last season or season before, and a friend of mine had a suite, and he invited us up, and he said, "Hey, Jordan Eberle's going to drop by." So I was like, "Oh my!"
Don't screw it up.
Yeah,
Bruce.
yeah. So they had everything out as they do in those suites, beer and liquor and wine, but nobody drank wine except my wife. And J'Lyn and I are familiar with
Wine Carol.
So, yeah, she's very
That's
quiet.
a separate edition of the announcers.
Yeah. She's drinking the wine, and then the host kept saying, "Well, you might as well drink it all because no one else is, it's going to go to waste." So she polished off a pretty good bottle of wine before Jordan Eberle walked in. So he walks in, and everybody, it's just the C's part. I mean, everybody just turned, and there's Jordan Eberle.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, and nobody knows who should speak first or what they should say. And from the back of the room, my wife screams, "Oh my God, you're so cute!" And just nothing followed that at all. And then I just sort of edged over, like I don't know whose wife that is.
And then she looked at you and she's like, "That's for the M&Ms."
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm picturing like the white wine sloshing over the side
Exactly.
of the glass as she says it.
You're just so cute.
A little lipstick on her teeth.
Exactly.
I'm
No,
being
that's
unfair.
exactly what you nailed it.
There's there's been a couple of times work-wise where I've been able to go into that building when very few others are there. So I was doing a story on, I think, a family that had season tickets. They sit right down behind the goalie. They've been doing it for years and years and years. They travel from all over, and doing a stand-up at center ice. No one's around, but you're standing
That's
at
a cool view.
center ice on your own, and you're looking around going, holy crap.
Yeah.
If these walls could talk, I would pay to hear, not the ones that we're talking about today, but all those other ones.
Just give Dave Lumley a call.
Yeah,
He's got some incredible stories from behind the scenes.
Well, doing the Peter Pocklington book, sitting down and talking with Peter about some of the things that happened then, and with Kevin Lowe and all of those boys, when you start talking about, once again, Gretzky, when he sits down and starts talking about that time in that arena with that team, it is, you can see that they're transported just like we are, but they're transported even more, and just about what it was really growing up in that place.
Yeah, the Oilers have done something really neat. This is the goodbye season, the farewell season to Rexall Place. And every home game, they've recognized an Oiler, the sort of the once an Oiler, always an Oiler initiative. And it was very cool with the New York Islanders in town a few games ago to hear Dougie Waite, now of course an assistant coach with that team, speak. He was the featured Oiler, the featured former Oiler that game. Just speak of what the building itself meant to him and what it means for these guys to come back. And it's always neat to see them behind the scenes kind of looking up and you hear different stories about. I remember hearing that there were some more observant Oilers and Marty McSorley was featured just a couple of games ago, and he said back in the day Paul Coffey would actually be looking up in the stands during the game, and McSorley said that Coffey skated up to him and was like, that's a nice coat that your mom's wearing tonight. I mean, like the players would
Really?
actually know where their loved ones were sitting in the rink. They'd get to know some of the fans, and they'd actually be much more. Now, players will never let on. It's very rare when a player will acknowledge a fan through the glass. It's almost as though there's that invisible, it's actually a tangible physical separation, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost like they can't hear you. Of course, we know they can. But it's neat to hear those stories of how the fans have had that connection or the impact on players and vice versa.
Yeah, and I forget who told me that story as well, but very similar to that, in looking up and going, okay, those people have always been in those seats. They're not there tonight. I hope that they're okay.
Yeah.
And I forget which player it was that told me that, but, I was talking about that connection. You might not know their name, but you know that they've always been there and always been a fan, right?
That's true. I have the same group of friends that will lend me tickets from time to time, and you do see the same people all around you. There's people who just are so regular that I know that the Boston Pizza guy sits behind me with Brad's tickets, and that's funny. I forgot about that.
Season ticket holders I've had an opportunity, as you know, I'm the in-game host for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm the free pizza guy. I'm the jumbotron guy, so I get to rub shoulders and mix and mingle with the ushers. They're some of my favorite people. These many of them, retirees, and some others it's just a part-time job, padding their income, whatever the case may be.
Let's not forget WWE, by the way, as well.
Oh yeah. The ushers have their hands full on those nights. But the ushers, some of them have been there since the arena, since the Oilers debuted in Edmonton, and some of them have such special friendships with the season ticket holders in their section. They know them by name. Some of them have known each other for 30 years.
Yeah,
it's incredible.
The elevator guy up to the suite. I mean,
the best.
Too, it's just like, oh, well, I've been doing this forever. And I said, I have no doubt. You know where you're going. I don't have a clue where I'm going. I've only been here twice.
So it's amazing. You look back on highlights from the glory years, the boys on the bus years, and of course, the one thing that strikes you, I mean, aside from the excellent play and all the Stanley Cups, there's no advertising on the boards. There were no LED light circles. There wasn't a sexy scoreboard. There wasn't this crazy audio-visual element. There were no laser lights. There was no oil derrick coming down out of the roof. And we've become accustomed to that as fans, and we have expectations there. And this new experience, this new fan experience at Rogers Place is going to take it to an entire next level. But the one beautiful thing about the way it was, and I suppose what we'll leave behind at Rexall Place, is just the purity of the fan experience. Whatever chaos there was in there through those playoff runs was a result of the excitement of the fans and the buzz, that organic buzz in that building. And I think that's why a lot of people quite rightfully refer to it as a church of hockey. Yeah. It's one of those barns. People talk about Nassau Coliseum and how it was such a dump in New York, but it saw the Islanders dynasty and Madison Square Garden and the Great Western Forum and all these rinks, the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. And the thing that they have in common is that, they haven't been the sexiest arenas, and they've aged, and some not so gracefully. But if those walls could speak.
It's not necessarily, you're right about the walls, but it's the people who have been along for the ride inside those walls for so many years.
It's, again, now hearing you say that, I remember that last run, and I was at a game. And that oil derrick comes down, and you hear the announcer say, "Here come your Edmonton Oilers," and I just...
Did you cry?
I was just so excited that I was there, and they're mine, and they're in this historic arena, and I'm watching a game. It's fabulous.
So if you're lucky enough to be there tonight for the last Battle of Alberta, or if you're lucky enough to be there on Wednesday as the Vancouver Canucks take on the Edmonton Oilers in what will be the last game at Rexall Place. Take it all in. That voice through the PA, Mark Lewis. It'll be his last game after 35 years with the team as well. I won't say who she is, but one of my colleagues at the Edmonton Oilers, I caught her in the stairwell last game, sitting on the steps, head in her hands, having a cry. I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "I'm just fine. I'm just connecting with this old girl." And she put her hand on the railing of the stairwell, and I just thought that was the most beautiful thing.
Beauty.
Thank you, Rexall Place, Rogers Place. We can't wait to see ya. Thanks for tuning into the announcers. You can catch J'Lyn and Andrew on the 6:30 CHED Afternoon News with J'Lyn Nye and Andrew Grose, weekdays from 2 to 6. And, of course, my show weekdays from 9 to noon. Thanks for being a part of it.